9th and 30th May for essential property investment advice. What are you waiting for? Visit sps2021.99.co to register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organized by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
Every day, the financial world goes through dramatic rise and falls. We'll track the biggest market movers and show you where the opportunities lie. Get the experts' take on the performance of key indices. Plus all the analysis to help you understand forces driving global economies. The daily business news you need. Only on CNA. This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation.
Tonight, could rising inflation derail the post-pandemic economic recovery?
Those parts of the market that are more overvalued could easily get hit.
Relooking China's growth model as its population ages.
Chinese babies are not growing into industrial workers in the future.
Plus, how to be a part of the blockchain boom. Tonight on CNA.
China has lashed out at the U.S. for criticizing the Hong Kong legislature. Now, the city's government recently approved a bill to overhaul the territory's political system. Beijing warns Washington not to meddle in the city's politics.
美方关心香港民主和港人权利是假，插手香港政治、干涉中国内政是真。我要再次强调。 香港是中国的特别行政区，包括选举制度改革在内的香港事务，纯属中国内政。
Hong Kong lawmakers have approved changes that will reduce the proportion of seats filled by direct elections. It will expand the LegCo from 70 to 90 seats, but only 20 of them will be directly elected, down from 35. A new body will also be empowered to vet candidates. Now, the body will work with national security authorities to ensure those standing are loyal to Beijing. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken accused China of undermining the democratic institutions in the territory with these changes. He also called on Beijing and Hong Kong authorities to drop charges against everyone arrested under the national security law. The White House says it will impose sanctions on Belarus for the arrest of dissident journalist Roman Protasevich. Now, Washington is also working with the European Union on a list of targeted sanctions aimed at key allies of Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko. Mr. Lukashenko is currently in Russia to seek assistance from Mr. Putin as tensions intensify with Europe. Many European nations have imposed flight bans on Belarusian aviation, with many airlines avoiding flying into its airspace. The overflight ban has led to several cancellations of flights between Russia and Europe after Moscow officials rejected flight plans that skipped the Belarusian airspace. Now, Russia says the cancellations are purely technical, but it has raised concerns that the move could be a way of refusing to let European airlines land if they avoid Belarus.
There was a big disturbance on the air traffic, but they still don't know if it is case by case, specific cases, or is a general norm from the Russian authorities in order to make European planes to overflight Belarus. We still don't know.
Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has proposed a $6 trillion budget for 2022, combining his existing infrastructure, education, and social welfare plans into one huge package aimed at transforming the economy. It would take the government spending to its highest level since World War II. Jaguti Dave reports from Washington.
Joe Biden's first budget of his presidency seeks to build upon measures he's already introduced in his $2.3 trillion American Jobs Plan and $1.9 trillion American Families Plan. Trillions of dollars are earmarked towards measures such as pandemic preparedness, combating climate change and investing in research and development. Annual government spending is expected to rise to $8.2 trillion by the end of 2031. Biden's administration says the staggering injection of funds is necessary to allow the United States to compete with other countries, most notably China. It requests a 10% increase in the State Department's budget compared to last year, which a State Department spokesperson said would allow the United States to engage China in the Indo-Pacific and globally from a position of collective strength. Now, the White House predicts that economic growth would fall to 2% or less from 2022 to the end of the decade if the president's proposals are not approved. Now, it plans to pay for the budget by increasing taxes on top earners and on corporations, effectively boosting the middle classes at the expense of the rich. But Republicans are pushing back against the cost of all of this, having already raised debt and inflationary concerns regarding Joe Biden's existing jobs and families proposals. And they're also resisting what they see as unnecessary government overreach, with trillions of dollars going towards social policies such as tackling inequality and expanding health coverage.
And one expert calls President Biden's budget proposal a bold step.
When we think about the budget proposal, this is not so much about fighting COVID, getting us to that finish line. It's about getting us to a better place than February. And if you believe, and I do, that there was a lot of inequality, there were a lot of groups, racial, ethnic minorities, less educated workers that were marginalized from the U.S. labor market, that weren't able to have their full potential. That's who this budget is trying to support. And in particular, there's a lot of investments in children. So to move the needle to create long-run growth, reduce inequality, this takes a lot of money and a lot of good programs. When we think back to after the Great Recession, after the financial crisis, these concerns about the government doing too much, particularly as the recovery went on, they won the day. And fiscal spending actually fell back after the Great Recession. And this is the Democrats believing that they have a lesson to learn and not to stop, to keep spending. And the idea here, the economics of it is, there's not some magic level, debt so big to GDP. We got to be able to finance, we got to be able to pay the interest payments. But we have an opportunity, especially in the United States, to borrow the money and spend it on the country. And it's swinging for the fences for a more prosperous, more productive U.S. economy. It is risky, but people are worth taking a risk on.
Republicans in the U.S. Senate have blocked a bill to create an independent commission to probe the deadly U.S. Capitol riots. Now, the final vote was 54-35, which fell short of the 60 votes needed to start debate on the legislation. Republicans used a procedural tactic known as a filibuster for the first time this year to block the bill.
The Republican minority just mounted a partisan filibuster against an independent commission to report on January 6th. Both efforts should have moved forward in a solidly bipartisan way. But out of fear or fealty to Donald Trump, the Republican minority just prevented the American people from getting the full truth about January 6th. This vote has made it official. Donald Trump's big lie has now fully enveloped the Republican Party.
The proposed commission was modeled after a similar independent panel formed in the aftermath of the 9/11 terror attacks. Democrats and some moderate Republicans had pushed for the commission to investigate the 6th of January riots. Now, that's when hundreds of supporters of former President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol to delay the formal certification of President Joe Biden's election victory. The violence left 5 people dead, including a police officer. But in the days leading up to the vote, Senate Republicans led by Minority Leader Mitch McConnell have been deeply skeptical of the commission. Mr. Trump has been another vocal critic, attacking the effort to create the panel as a Democrat trap. Had the commission moved forward, he likely would have been called to testify